Welcome into the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhart here with you once again. That's because the boss man, Chad Doing, he's still out today. He is in El Paso. He's probably walking out of the Sun Bowl Stadium right now. I don't know, maybe on his way to the airport or the after party. I don't know. But he was down there enjoying the game, Dwight.
Yeah, it looked like a beautiful day down there. A little chilly, but very sunny, which is appropriate for the Sun Bowl. But yeah, I bet he's on his way to the airport. He was flying in and out on the same day, not from Portland, but from another location that will remain unmentioned. That's a lot closer to El Paso than Portland is.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And so you got me again. I get to do this whole button pushing, hosting show thing again. We've got plenty to get to. Of course, we're going to talk about this game that just went down. The Oregon State Beavers ending their season against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We're going to talk a little bit about the Ducks and Liberty, because this is, believe it or not, the last show before Monday's showdown in the Fiesta Bowl. So, of course, we got to talk about that. And then, of course, at 4:30, we're going to switch on over to Blazers Game Day, get you ready for this second matchup tonight with the Spurs. But, Dwight, before we get going, I think you might have had a little bit of a story that you wanted to share on the radio. Am I correct?
Yeah, I probably should get this out of the way now while it's still on my mind, still fresh, Chris. But, you know, I talk about this a lot. I'll stop at a drive-thru on the way in and pick up my Diet Coke. It's a refreshing beverage that I much enjoy prior to coming on the show, and I get it. I get a large enough size that it usually lasts me most of the way through this 3-hour show. It gets me a little caffeine. I don't drink coffee, so it gets me going and kind of keeps me involved. But here's the thing. During COVID, I started tipping the young people who work in drive-through windows. And they're not all young people, but I find most of them are, and a lot of them probably working their first job. And I don't tip them a lot, but especially when I see the same ones working, they hustle, they give me good service, I tip them okay. And today I went through, and what I ordered a little more than my usual Diet Coke. It came to about $8.50, and I'm not naming the place I go, just I don't want to call anybody out in person, but I go through it, comes to $8.50. He said, that'll be $8.50. I hand him a 10 and I say, keep the change. Now, $1.50, that's not a huge tip. Let's face it. He's not going to put that away in the college fund or anything like that. But right,
it is on an $8.50 charge, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's not bad. And he doesn't have to, I find the other thing I find with a lot of the people working in drive-through windows, they're not real good at making change either. So it's much better to just say keep the change than have them fussing over trying to figure out how much they owe me back. But anyway, I say keep the change. What does he say to me in return?
My gut would say, hey, thank you.
Yeah, that's what you would say. What I got was, okay. Okay. When I get okay for giving somebody $1.50 tip at a drive-through window where most people, come on now, most people don't tip, I find that disappointing. And not because I needed the thank you. I'm sure he was pleased to get a tip. But you just have to learn the appropriate way to behave. You have to learn how to accept a tip, how to accept somebody's good graces. How to, it's a compliment in a way. It's like, here, you've done a good job. Here's a tip for you. Okay.
Yeah.
That okay is not good enough, right?
Okay, Dwight. Okay. Whatever you say. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
It's like, I was thinking maybe that wasn't enough. Maybe I should throw another 5 out there or something.
Maybe you should have. What were you thinking?
I don't know. But look at youngsters especially. Yeah, just listen to something from a guy who's been around a few years. When somebody gives you a tip and you're working, even if it's probably disappointing to you and not enough, or you were hoping for more, just say thank you in a kind of cheerful way that makes people think you're happy to get it.
Right.
Because then it encourages me to do it again. It's like, hey, this is a nice kid. I might tip him a little more the next time. I might hand him $12 and say, here, keep the change. But okay isn't necessarily going to get you a better tip the next time.
No, it's not going to get you a tip at all. Come on now. Be nice.
Now, maybe I'm in the wrong here. Maybe somebody will call in and say, well, you don't deserve a thank you for just giving a guy $1.50.
Ah, thanks. Thanks, old
Grumpy.
timer.
Grumpy old man.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had to get that off my chest and educate a few people because, I'm known for I don't hate, I educate. That's my motto.
That's your motto?
Yes, that's
Okay.
my motto. So I just thought I'd throw it out there for those of you in a position to get tipped for something you do.
Well, that's good education, Dwight.
Thank you.
Tell you, when I worked at the meat shop that we talk about here all the time, there was a old timer there by the name of Ken, taught me everything I know. One of the very first things he taught me, how to count back change, because there's nothing he hated more than someone who couldn't do it. Count it back, Burkhart. Let's go.
Watch how many people these days, Chris, a real simple math problem. I give them a 10. Let's say my bill came to $9.25. Okay, that's not difficult math to figure out. He owes me 75 cents back. Watch how many of them look at the cash register. They ring it in, and then the cash register tells them how much to give me back. You shouldn't need the cash register to do your math on that one. You should be reaching for those 3/4 and have them right here in your hand.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are waiting for that.
Are you ever seen the one, because I know I've done it, and I've had it done to me when I was working in the market, but I knew what was going on. But like total comes to $10.50, so you give or someone gives to you $20.50.
Right.
And someone, like, I've had people go like, the total was $10.50. Why'd you give me $20.50? So you can give me 10 back. Yeah, but 20 covers it. Yeah, but then you got to give me a 5 and a couple ones and extra change. This way, all you got to do is give me a $10 bill. It's easy.
That's old school. See, that's the way my dad would pay for something. He would almost always do that so that he could get the 5 or the 10.
That's easy.
Or even the $1 back.
Right.
And when you do that nowadays, you totally befuddle some people. They have no idea what the heck you're trying to do when you do that.
It's so true.
It's amazing.
It's kind of funny. Relying on the cash register just tell you what's owed back.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because a lot of people used to do that in the old days. I don't see it much anymore, but yeah, people have been around a while do it.
Yeah.
Of course, nobody pays cash anymore for a lot of things anyway, right?
The meat market, Dwight, is old school. So, like, say the first thing you got was a T-bone. I take your T-bone. It was $25.60. I write $25.60 on it. Mm-hmm. Then you wanted a New York steak. That New York steak was $10.65. I take the New York steak. I write $10.65 on it. And then I write $10.65 on the T-bone and do the math on one steak all the way down to the end, and then go to the calculator to check it. That's your total. So that's basically your receipt was on your steak. That was the total of everything. Old school. That's old school, and I love it.
Let's face it, butcher shops these days are old school in and of themselves, right?
They are. Yeah,
there's not you can't have too many of those left, right?
There's only a handful of them that you even know about. I mean, you got my dad's, you got White's out in Gresham. Gartner's is very popular.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They've been, and all three of those been around for, about the same amount of time, going on, 50 plus years for a lot of them. Then you got a couple out on the west side too, but they're you can count them on one finger pretty much how many meat markets there are around here. So,
but I don't think people care as much these days about getting a great cut of meat. Yeah. Which is what you get in your dad's butcher shop.
You get that great service, baby.
Yeah, you get the really good stuff. You get it cut the way you want it. You get, and the kind of personal service. I know you're going to a butcher shop and you say, oh, well, I'm buying a tenderloin. How would you cook that? That guy's always going to help you out.
Oh, if you ask me how you want to cook it, my response is, well, did you plan on doing the oven, stovetop, or grill? Mm-hmm. And you tell me which one, and then I tell you how I would have done it.
Right. Yeah, you might even sell them some rub for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, got your favorites.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's very, very good service at those places. All of them do it.
That's why people still go to a butcher shop these days.
Yeah.
And you got to be willing to, in my opinion, you got to be willing to pay a little more because of the service you're getting.
Oh, yeah. And those other places, like I said, the Gartners and the Whites, give them some love too. Like every once in a while, we'll work closely with them because everyone's like, oh, they're your competitor. No. They're not the enemy. the big box store that can afford to sell everything cheaper than they pay for it to get you in the door. That's the enemy.
Yeah.
So,
that place you go where you have to buy a dozen of something instead of one.
Yeah. I get what I'm laying down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the enemy. But either way, we get off on a tangent. I tell this every time I'm hosting with you. Somehow we get on a talk about food
That's okay.
and whatnot.
This is a public service here.
It is, and we will have plenty of sports to get to today. But, Dwight, I want to ask you about this one, our first sports topic of the day. We hinted at this yesterday. Alabama saying that they're not using their iPads for individual video reviews going over their stuff because they're afraid of Michigan or whoever hacking into the system and seeing what they're studying. So they're only doing their full-on film classes, right? I think people kind of scoffed at that at first, like, oh, maybe Saban's just overreacting. Well, now there is a report that you found here from Dan Wetzel saying that this says, quote, Catapult, a video and data analysis company used in college football, confirms the NCAA and, quote, local authorities are investigating unauthorized access of footage. The investigation is not centered on Michigan, but rather on at least one other school, sources tell Yahoo Sports.
That's incredible.
This means that, like you said, we said this yesterday, Dwight, that if you're an athlete playing for Nick Saban, you don't just say anything off the cuff. Everything is done for a reason. Mm-hmm. It meant that they knew something was going on, right?
Yeah.
And what I find interesting in this particular snippet is it doesn't necessarily wipe Michigan's hands clean. It says it's not focused or not centered on Michigan, but rather at least one other school.
Right.
Meaning it may be Michigan and another school being involved in this hack of video footage, which is just, if this ends up coming out and Michigan in any way, shape, or form hacked into this system so they could see all the video that Alabama had or whatever other school, sending a guy out to go film the sideline, like, that's a no, that's bad, but that's a slap on the wrist compared to what should happen if Michigan is involved in this.
Oh, if you're hacking into a private company's server or website, I mean, if you're the coach of a team doing that, I'm not sure you ever coach again.
Right.
That's enough to get you thrown out of the business. I can't even comprehend somebody going to those lengths to do something like that. I mean, I can't even imagine a coach would do it. It seems to me something that a